I am Helen Hayes. Many of us who are living now will never see the end of the conflict which dominates our lives. Leaders change, and leadership passes from one generation to the next. But for generations, or certainly for many years, the challenge which confronts us will continue. So it becomes not just a hope, but an urgent condition for a peaceful future that those who are catapulted into the problems of maturity with every passing year will understand the challenge and devote themselves to it even as you and I must. Interest cannot lag, efforts cannot cease. It will require the sternest kind of dedication, bred as it were into the American character. The training grounds in which this discipline will be planted and perfected are the institutions which have shaped our society, particularly the home, which has always been in our culture the nucleus of society itself. The home is the wellspring of the strongest qualities of citizenship, and it must remain so if we are to preserve the toughness of moral fiber, which is our strongest heritage.
A toughness of moral fiber, a belief in the right, as God gives us to see the right, as Lincoln put it in words which are carved into our national soul. These are the sinewy threads of our past. Keeping America strong, this is our challenge. Keeping the vision of liberty bright, keeping the threads of our past, the strands of moral toughness with which our history is bound. Moral toughness, the quality which made men work instead of weep on the hostile shores of New England, which bled mortally yet never died on 100 fields and oceans stretching out from Valley Forge, which moved strong men west, bringing with them first only their pride, then their railroads, which built cities and governments, and created wealth, and above all, made freedom the birthright of every man. That quality must still live within us, for without it, we are surely lost. And it will live, so long as we keep faith in our future and faith in our past. This is the challenge, as compelling, as severe, as crucial as Americans in any age have ever faced.
American parachutists are fighting today from Port Moresby to North Africa. They're trained to battle in any part of the world, in any climate, on any terrain, desert or snow. The training is tough. So is the job. Here's how a fighting paratrooper is made. Our man begins by learning to jump, to tumble, to fall. Here's a machine that builds bodies. The training gets tougher. Up in a harness for a quick slide to the ground to give him the feeling of movement in the air. A wind machine is used to fill the practice chute so he can learn to handle his parachute on the ground. Next, he drops from a 200-foot tower in a parachute chair. He gets an idea of height and view. And the sensation of coming down quickly. Now he is closer to the real thing. He is hoisted by cable, and he learns how it feels when a parachute opens. He knows his parachute. He learns to pack it, fold by fold, each in its own place, for compactness and order. To check it, every cord coiled accurately and in position. He gives it scrupulous care, for on his parachute hangs his life. Using a dummy plane, he learns to time his jumps. Back to the tower again, jumping with the parachute already inflated. He's ready now and equipped, with a helmet to guard his face from snapping rope lines and high boots to break the landing shock. He's up for final inspection. The plane is ready, and so are the men. Down below are the objectives must locate, carefully plotted on aerial maps. Stand up is the order from the jump master. Hook static lines. The men help each other with the last-minute checkup. Wait. To the door. Jump. 18 men in 10 seconds. Their first jump. They drift to their objectives, working shroud lines to guide them. Ready for action, with rifle and demolition kit. But a paratrooper must be master of many arts. He fights not only in Europe, not only in the deserts and jungles of Africa, but in the snows of the Arctic. So one company goes back to school again for special ski training to learn to fight when the thermometer drops to 20 below. New techniques, new equipment, new skills. He learns how to wax his skis. First is the business of learning how to walk. Clumsy at first. A new way of falling. He thought he knew them all. How to brake at high speeds. The snowplow with knees bent, tips of the skis brought together, pressure on the inside edge of the runners. How to swing arms and shoulders from the hips so that he can do Christies and tempo turns downhill. But skiing is uphill work too. He learns the sidestep, and the herringbone. He learns to make a right-about face on skis in deep snow. And this is how a column works its way up a mountain. Now he's at home on skis. And the white suit issued for camouflage makes him part of the landscape. In combat, he will whiten his face, his pack, his rifle too. He learns how to live in the snow. How to trap down the snow into hard camping ground. He learns to cook with snow. He learns to sleep in the snow, gun and skis within easy reach. Back to camp and back to parachutes. This time into the aerial packs go skis as well as guns. The next jump will combine the old and new training. He's in the air now, and he's ready to combine his three skills: the fighter, the jumper, and the skier, product of a new training for a new kind of war. Light-colored chutes carrying men, dark or brightly colored ones carrying arms and ammunition. It's an odd graduation, this, into the strangest field of ultra-modern war. But these men are ready for it. Hand-picked volunteers, parachute specialists, soldiers trained to fight around the world.
This is the Kremlin, citadel of Russian communism. Looking at Russia, we might see it as a country to be studied, as we study other nations of the world. Yet we know that Russia today is regarded as a grave threat to our nation, to our freedom, to the peace of the world. Why so? What makes it a threat? Looking closer, we see a clue. Public display of giant portraits of communist leaders. These leaders, by their actions, have caused the world to stand guard. Here, in Russia, you see the reason why so many nations are building up their defenses. Here, in Russia, you see the reason why we are spending billions of dollars in defense production. Why your family is paying the highest taxes in our history. The leaders of Russia tell us their only concern is the defense of their own nation. Is this so? Or are they ambitious for world conquest? Question. A question of communism. Ever hear of Karl Marx? In his mind, communism was born more than 100 years ago. He looked at the world and saw men as divided into two classes, workers and capitalists. In the Communist Manifesto, chains. Working men of all countries, unite. This is the promise of the challenge of communism. In Russia, the Tsar was the government. To support the local aristocracy, millions of peasants toiled in virtual slavery. The Cossacks, dreaded police of the Tsar, enforced tyrannical laws. Here is fertile ground for the ideas of communism. For here indeed, the people have nothing to lose but their chains. The chains of the imperial government. In 1914, the Tsar sent his troops into the war that swept Europe. For more than 2 years they fought. While at home, people suffered from shortages. What about the despotism and corruption of the imperial government? The people grew their bodies when their strong army could sustain the Tsar in power. The revolution was preached on the battlefield, too, to an army broken with corruption. Inevitably, the Russian army surrendered. And with the defeated army returning under the banners of revolution, the imperial government fell. The revolution reigned. The chains were broken, and in violence was born the government of the proletarians. But a government needs leaders. He was the first leader of communist Russia. And Trotsky was another. Lenin had a few years, and out of the vicious struggle for power that followed his death, Joseph Stalin emerged undisputed leader. He was a new figure. In the background, Karl Marx. He established the ultimate aim of communism as world revolution. And the rulers of communist Russia, while firmly establishing their authority at home, created an international organization to stir up revolution throughout the world. Communism was on the march. Stalin was in the Kremlin. But what of the people? The proletarians who had fought to win a new world. The plan is over. He's paid for the work with his employer. Children are taken early and molded to fit the machine. Here is no search for truth. The government writes the textbooks, and the children are taught to accept communism and their fate without question. The Kremlin runs all elections, and the outcome is always the same. If anyone dares to disagree, he's given a speedy trial without benefit of jury. Such traitors may be immediately executed or sent off to prison. The proletarians have nothing to but their chains. They have a world to win. Although the people of Russia gained little, the rulers gained mightily in power. They built up a giant war machine, looking forward to the day when their flag would fly over the entire world. Then came the rise of Nazi Germany, another power bent on world conquest. The two nations joined forces, and Russia, believing itself safe from aggression, launched an invasion of Finland and other neighboring nations. For the first time, the world learned that the communists were no longer waiting for world revolution, but were now resorting to outright military aggression to extend their power. After the Nazis turned on their former allies, we supplied Russia with immense quantities of military equipment to wage war against our common foe. And how did Russia come out of the war? In 1917, at the time of the revolution, Russia was already a land of vast area. Soon after the end of World War II, Russia had occupied many new territories, bringing additional millions of people under communist control, and serving notice that Soviet Russia was now a world power to be reckoned with. United with Russia in war, we strove to preserve that unity and peace. We helped organize the United Nations, in which the nations of the world have mutually pledged to cooperate in fostering world peace and progress. Andrei Gromyko signed for Russia. But in the first post-war Italian elections, the communists created disorder in an attempt to gain control of the government. Once more, the world was reminded that basic in the idea of communism is the plan of world revolution, and that Russian communism has stepped beyond that plan to achieve world domination through aggression. In Indochina and Malaya, communist aggression has incited rebellion against established government. In France, communist aggression has fomented strikes against essential industries in attempts to discredit the free government. In Iran, the communists have incited rioting and have preached hatred and distrust of the Western nations. In Eastern Germany, they have openly opposed the West. In China, the communists have established their own puppet government. In Korea, communist aggression has come into actual combat with forces of the United Nations. And with the most deadly of all weapons available to the Russians, no peoples in the world can feel secure against this aggression. How are we meeting this challenge? Yes, one way is by helping the free world fight starvation and poverty and suffering, conditions that pave the way for communist infiltration. We are also supplying equipment for the free nations to develop their own resources and raise their living standards. Another way we are meeting the challenge is by military alliance with some of the other free nations for mutual aid in opposing direct communist aggression. And we are building up our own military defense. But do these preparations mean that we have abandoned hope for peace? No. In the United Nations, we are continually seeking a workable plan for living in peace with communist Russia. Because we want peace. But we do not want this. We believe in freedom. Freedom, born of the conviction that every person is a child of God and is therefore of supreme worth. For these people, for ourselves, for everyone, we want freedom, not tyranny.
Our story begins. He is headed for the old fishing hole. Uh-oh. Too bad. Freddie had helped his mother make soft soap to sell to their friends and neighbors.
Shucks, if I didn't have to work. Think of all the fun I could be having. Gee.
Freddie tries to figure out an easier and quicker way to make soap. He goes to work to make his dreams of fun come true. After years of working night and day, Freddie's experiments bring success.
Soap in cakes.
Pretty soon, word gets around to the housewives who want shorter, easier wash days and cleaner clothes. Freddy's soap is just what they need. He invests his profits in larger quarters and new equipment to make enough soap to satisfy the demand. Finally, his dreams come true. Time off for fun on Saturday. Hey, Freddy, a guy can fish anytime.
23 skidoo.
Goodbye, Freddy.
Hopelessly in love, he wants to make good in a big way. So, back to work. As the company grows, it brings the railroad and other businesses to town. Increased property taxes from the thriving community help to build better schools, streets, parks, libraries, playgrounds, and waterworks. Taxes even help to provide more and better governmental services, such as police protection. Before long, Freddy becomes a successful businessman. And, incidentally, a successful husband and father. Fudsy's expanding company creates all kinds of jobs that never existed before. To increase production and sales, Fudsy builds up a strong labor management team. Each year, he invests a portion of his profits in research to develop better soap that can be made to sell at lower prices. The Fudsy Company continues to grow with the years because it makes a good soap, which in competition with others sells at a fair price. Competition forces each manufacturer to improve his product, to sell it for less, and to give the consumer more for $1 than his competitor. And Fudsy is hard to beat. Finally, he gets so many orders he realizes that one factory simply can't meet the demand. His profit motive starts sparking to figure out a way to increase production. He forms a corporation and issues stock to raise money to build factories from coast to coast. Fudsy's employees have faith in his management and back him with their savings. Banks loan depositors money to help finance the expansion program. Insurance companies loan the funds of their policyholders to help build the factories. Stock exchanges act as a clearinghouse for people from all walks of life to buy securities. Before long, everybody gets plenty of soap. At last, Fudsy's success is complete. Soap City. The profit motive, which drove Fudsy to accomplish so much, may bring out the evil as well as the good.
Hello? Fudsy, old boy, I've got a great idea.
Between us, we control 70% of the country's soap sales.
Yeah, but quiet. Let's see what's cooking.
I smell trouble. Let's raise and fix our prices.
Controlling 70% of the market where we do cleanup.
Terrific. We'll make millions. Billions. Go.
Quiet. Okay, Sam. It's a deal.
You'll be sorry.
Fudsy and Sam Sudso raise and fix prices, but the result is not what they expect. A competitor comes along with a good bar of soap that sells at a lower price. Since shoppers always seek maximum value, only the lower priced soap sells, while Fudsy and Sam Sudso's profits turn into losses. 99 times out of 100, competition works. When it doesn't, the government steps in to prevent monopolistic attempts.
That was a tough break. Now the next time...
a business operating at a steady profit can give its workers security and employee benefits. Operating at a profit, a business can provide the employee with comfortable, colorful working conditions. High wages and steady employment. First aid and health protection. Accident and life insurance. Time off for vacations. The employee working for a profitable business can maintain a savings account, own his own home, and have plenty of leisure to enjoy the peace and quiet of family life. When investors receive fair dividends, they are eager to supply industry with a steady flow of capital to create new tools and plants, which in turn create new jobs. With business prosperous and employment high, the farmer has a ready and profitable market for the sale of his produce. When businesses all over the country operate at a steady profit, our economic health is tops. Billions in taxes paid out of profits flow into local, state, and governments. The profit motive has been the driving force back of the growth of American industry. The American system of free enterprise will give the young people of today the freedom of opportunity to develop ideas which will make a better way of life for the children of tomorrow.
It wasn't so long ago in the history of man's voyage toward a better world that ships were carrying eager passengers toward the shores of a new nation that was just in the building. Our forefathers were constructing the foundation of this nation by interlocking inseparably the blocks of our political and economic freedoms. The way of life our forefathers established on this foundation of freedoms drew people from the far corners of the earth, and all those who set foot on these shores had the opportunity to build a better life for themselves. Even young Jonathan, an unskilled lad from across the sea, hoped to find a job where he could progress according to his ability and enterprise. As the years passed, Jonathan's earnings increased, but he still felt that for a man of his skill, it was about time for another raise.
Mr. Blessgravy,
Am I not the best crown rounder and brim trimmer in ye business?
Mm-hmm.
Then verily, methinks I am worth more moolah.
That you are, Jonathan. I'm sorry, lad.
No raise, Mr. Blessed Gravy? I quit. Sales and profits down. Phooey, I could run ye business better myself. Hey, why not? My own business. All you need's a little capital, a little push, and an idea. Yeah, an idea. Let's see.
So I said to him, I wouldn't wear that hat to a dog fight. Why, there isn't a decent hat in the entire village. And such prices. Imagine paying that much for a poke bonnet. Why, it was an awful thing.
Why not? Women's hats. My own business.
Fortunately, Jonathan was thrifty enough to keep a little nest egg for such an emergency. Well, the cost of the building took care of the nest egg. And there was nothing left to pay for the necessary tools and equipment. But happily, Jonathan had a good reputation. And, as his idea promised a profit, his friends and neighbors were willing to invest some of their savings in his new business. In the nick of time, an enterprising chap showed up with the raw materials to make hats. And before long, Jonathan was open for business. First, he had to advertise.
Shop at Bonton, it's the spot. 12 new hat styles, that's a lot. Ladies, get that new hat drill. 30 days to pay your bill.
As an expert salesman, Jonathan demonstrated the superior style and quality of his product. He set a price for his creations that the consumer was willing to pay, and sales dollars poured in from satisfied customers. Jonathan had big dreams of the wonderful rewards of being in business for himself. But before he could buy what he wanted, his employees' wages had to be paid. He had to pay taxes. And his friends who helped finance the business had to be paid a return on their investment. When all of his bills were paid, Jonathan had to exchange his big dream for a little dream.
Mesdames, mademoiselles, it is the privilege of Alphonse, hat stylist to all the grand heads of Europe, to bring you hats with style so chic, a quality magnifique, and a price, ooh la la, so low. Come one, come all to the grand opening.
To meet competition, Jonathan had to plow part of his profits back into the business to develop a better hat. If customers approved the quality, style, and price of Jonathan's new designs, he still could make his dreams come true. With the passing years, this strong foundation of freedoms protected the dignity of the individual and his family, gave everyone the right to worship as he pleased, and promised anyone with ability and enterprise the opportunity to participate in the building of the American way of life as we know it today. A way of life that depends upon millions of thrifty Americans who send a portion of their savings to work in our business system each year. People from all walks of life, workers, farmers, housewives, all of us send our dollars to work in our business system in the hope of earning dividends or interest on our investment. Anyone who has an insurance policy, a bank deposit, or a share of stock is helping to finance our business system. A constant stream of savings dollars must flow into big and small business each year. These dollars help to buy the land, the buildings, the tools and equipment and create new job opportunities for our expanding population. The goods we produce are distributed to main streets all over the country. While the Main Street of today doesn't look much like the Main Street of Jonathan's time, the principles of our business system remain the same. For businessmen still compete with one another for the consumer's supply of spendable dollars. And Mrs. Consumer is still mighty critical of everything she buys.
Uh-oh, competition.
The management of every business has a continuing problem: to improve their product to stay ahead of competition, or else.
Okay, men, this is it. Quick Chill's got the ball. We've got to get it back. Give them that new product play. More style, better quality, new features, and at the right price. Hit the line, men. Let's go.
Micrometer, wrench, file, caliper, slide rule.
In addition to creating a better product, management develops new tools and more efficient methods to help workers turn out more boxes to sell at a price Mrs. Consumer will pay. New features about this better product are advertised to point out its competitive advantages.
The Auto Magic Perma-Freeze, with plenty of room for groceries galore. The Auto Magic Perma-Freeze, with the super duper store-o-matic door. Just press the button for your ice, a feature that is new, and extra space all over the place for other items too. In the Auto Magic Perma-Freeze, so see your dealer right away. Get a Perma-Freeze today.
Ah, yes, dear lady. Perma-Freeze is your kind of refrigerator. High quality at a low price.
Sales dollars from satisfied customers once again flow back to Perma-Freeze. A successful business must have enough sales dollars coming in to enable management to pay the expenses of doing business, such as salaries and wages, materials and supplies, research and product development, plant maintenance and repair. In addition to all of these bills, management has to pay taxes to local, state, and federal governments. Any money that's left over is known as profit. Wise management plows part of it back into the business. The remainder of the profit is paid out as dividends. These dividends are sent back to investors as a reward for risking their savings in the American business system. Although occasionally some of us pick a lemon and have to take a loss. The constant investment of our savings through good times and bad has enabled our competitive business system to continue to increase the production of more and better goods to meet the demands of our rising population for a better standard of living. For example, it was only a little more than half a century ago that the average worker had only inefficient tools to help him turn out a product. Low production meant low wages. In 1900, many men had to work 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, to earn enough money to provide their families with the bare essentials. Hand labor was the rule in the home as well as the factory. In many families, the youngsters had to work to add their earnings to the family budget and forego the opportunity to get an education. And with most families in those days, the standard of living left much to be desired. A half-century later, we had invested enough in our business system to provide the average worker with efficient and expensive buildings and machinery to enable him to produce enough in a 40-hour week to earn twice as much as the 1900 worker earned in a 60-hour week. This shorter work week gives us all more leisure time to enjoy a standard of living beyond the wildest dreams of anyone who lived a half-century ago. The more we earn, the more our families have to spend for the things they need and want. Young people today have leisure time for fun and enjoy educational opportunities denied their fathers and grandfathers. And fortunately, we have been able to raise our standard of living without sacrificing the spiritual side of life, which means so much to the American family. Our business system has continued to provide a better life for our increasing population, in spite of destructive forces which have pounded against our foundation of freedoms with no avail. However, wars, or the threat of wars, interrupt the normal operations of our competitive business system and may result in government controls which crack essential blocks in our foundation of freedoms. In World War II, wages were controlled. Many workers were frozen to their jobs. Farm prices were controlled. And profits of business were limited. Raw materials were allocated between essential and non-essential business. On Main Street, USA, many of us found less to buy because a good portion of our productive capacity went to the war effort. Prices were fixed, and the available supply of goods was rationed. In war emergencies, we allow government to restrict certain of our freedoms. But we Americans have learned to remove government controls as quickly as possible and to repair the blocks in the foundation of our freedoms to allow our business system to resume its normal operations. While we invest part of our savings to help finance the world's most efficient business system, at the same time we pay taxes to government to finance many kinds of services which also contribute to our way of life. For example, our taxes must provide the necessary funds to improve and expand our school system. Our taxes must be sufficient to pay for city streets, health, fire, and police protection, and of course, aid to the needy. Our state taxes help pay for highways, educational institutions, and among other things, help to finance important experiments to increase the productivity of our farms. Our federal taxes pay for irrigation and reclamation projects, for national parks, postal services, the Weather Bureau, and many other services. Our taxes have to pay for the enormous cost of past wars and provide the funds for a defense program which will ensure the safety of our country. In addition, all of us should be willing to pay whatever taxes are necessary to enable efficient government to improve or expand any essential service. But with our present tax load, we should avoid pressuring government for any new services that aren't absolutely necessary. Because we all know the more our government provides, the more taxes it's forced to collect. None of us can escape. Big business small business. Farmers. Workers. Housewives, and all of us have to pay our share. Demanding more and more from government could create a tax burden heavy enough to crack essential blocks in the foundation of our business system. Therefore, we shouldn't let our taxes reach a point where they destroy our ability to save and invest. For as we have seen, our rising standard of living depends upon a constant flow of savings dollars into our business system each year. In the future of our country, waves of destructive forces will continue to batter against our foundation. When any force weakens the interlocked blocks of our political and economic freedoms, as good citizens, we must be quick to use the tools our Constitution gives us and repair any cracks that may appear. As long as we keep the foundation of our business system strong, we shall be able to maintain and improve the way of life our forefathers conceived and established. A way of life which gave everyone who came to this country the chance to progress according to his ability and enterprise. Like the youth of yesterday, the young people of today deserve the same opportunity to earn success and accomplishment. And on this foundation of freedoms, continue to build a better life for themselves and their fellow man in the world of tomorrow.